did just test it. All right. We are live. I'm going to quickly go into my page and go share this on
All
my
right.
profile, do the things. How are you doing?
I'm okay. I mean, like I said on the podcast, financially broken, spiritually never better in my life.
Man, that was
That's pretty just the best way I can say it.
the podcast is going so well. I swear every
Thank you.
single one is just getting fucking better and better. Um share. Yes, please. Share. Da, da, da. Goes over there. I'm just realizing now Facebook takes it upon itself to put in the subtitles and they're never what they're supposed to say.
Well, yeah, because it's automatically done. Like
What
it's
the fuck?
it's never gonna work out. Like
Nah.
that's you always gotta have there's got to be room for human error there. Because if somebody slurs or you're too far from the mic, it's gonna be a whole different word.
Whole different word. And they don't like swears, that's for sure.
No, they do not.
Yeah. So yeah, you've been a busy man right now. Like just launching this comedy reject. Was this something that you've wanted to do for a while or has COVID kind of fucking pushed you into that?
COVID definitely pushed me into it. I mean,
Yeah.
much like yourself, when you said on a post on your Facebook, my business has always been working with the people, and
Mm,
that's what I've always loved. The sound and the roar of the crowd, the laughter, the spontaneousness of what was happening in the exact moment is what I lived and died for. And with
yeah.
the whole of COVID-19 and removing that element from my art, it definitely made me feel alienated from what it is that I love. And I had to find a new platform in which to still connect with my audience and express my views as well as my humor to the people that have already come to know and enjoy what it is that I do.
Yeah. And I mean, it's got to be, I know as a musician or, I'm not a performer, but I'm a host and I still feed off the
Oh,
crowd.
you crush it
But,
as a
oh,
host.
well, thank you. Thanks
You
so much.
crush.
But I mean, especially as a comedian, your whole show and set is really based around the how the crowd reacts because you're seeing okay can you joke about Trump in this room, can you talk about you know gays, can how you have to measure what people are okay with, and when there's no fucking audience, how do you do that? You just hope that
Yeah,
people are
so that's
liking it.
basically reading the room. When you read the room, it's like, okay, because with comedy, what a lot of people don't realize is when they say funny is funny, that's not true. If
Yeah.
you're somebody who's offended by something, then no matter what, how good that joke is, it's gonna bother you. It won't sound funny. If you're a person who can't relate, because comedy is based on relation,
Mm,
if you can't relate to a topic, I don't care how good the joke is about a country band. If I don't understand country and the nuances of why that is hilarious, it's not going to relate to me. So when
yeah.
you read the room, you have to know, what am I saying, who am I talking to, why am I saying this to them, then make that shit funny. Because at the
Yeah.
end of the day, it must be funny, and if it's not funny, then you're not doing comedy, you're on a soapbox preaching, and that's not what the people came for.
Amen. Yeah.
So when you're doing it, I've only done one performance, and that was to bring open the opening of the Comedy Reject podcast.
Hmm.
And I'll tell you right now, that was one of the most nerve-wracking performances I had ever done. I was
I mean, because it
literally,
wasn't live, it was live online, but it wasn't live, there wasn't a
yes,
crowd there for you.
no crowd. I
Yeah.
had never been like that before, and it was straight out of a Eminem song. Knees weak, palms are sweaty, vomit on my sweater already. It was probably Jaeger and spaghetti.
That liquid courage, man, you
You know
need
what I'm
it.
saying? But it was something that was definitely scary for me. It felt as nerve wracking as the first time I'd ever gone on stage, because the first time I went on stage, I had never read a room before. I didn't know what these people liked. I didn't know what they would be about.
Mm,
So it was definitely nerve wracking to me. However, after doing it that one time, I do feel that I could definitely do it better, and that it's definitely something that I'm going to use in my arsenal of things to
yeah.
become a recognized talent. Because Basically, you have to learn how to build your own brand. You have to bring the people to you. And no comedy club or bar that you do your stage time in is interested in making you a star. The business of comedy clubs and bars is to sell tickets, sell drinks, and sell food. It has nothing to do with you being a star. In fact, being a
Mm-hmm.
star doesn't benefit them, because if you're a star, you don't need them. You don't perform there.
Yeah,
And
it's
if they
so
do
true.
perform there, they have to pay you more. Why pay you more when I can pay this other guy less and get the same number of people?
Yeah,
But
that's so
now, when
true.
you're a person who fills rooms, so you build your own platform, you build your own brand, and now wherever I go is where the people go. Now
Mm.
you're valuable. And you see, in the beginning, I've been doing comedy now. It's gonna be 13 years come September.
God damn.
So yeah, it's been a while. So in that time, thank you. In that time, I've needed and utilized all the stage time possible. But at this point in time in my career, I firmly believe that I understand and know how to be funny. Yes, you always need stage time. You always got to be on there. But now the focus, instead of trying to be in clubs, it's now trying to build my brand. And what
Mm,
made me
yeah.
realize that was the day that I had to host for an internet star who had never been on stage before, but there's 400 people to watch them. Whereas I, who was in this club for 12, 13 years, am still just opening. So even though I
Mm.
spent all my time
Mm.
being in the club, it did nothing for my brand. So did it do something for my comedy? Yes, but for who I am as an individual and recognized, nothing. Because when people walk
Interesting.
out of the comedy club, they go, the comedy club was great, but the comedians that made that show great
Yeah.
are nameless. And that's
Mm.
the problem that we as Canadian entertainers deal with and suffer from, because we are constantly hoping that the gatekeepers and the higher ups will eventually recognize us and move us forward. Unfortunately, if you
It
ever
don't
look at
work
the
like that.
history of Canadian entertainment, especially comedy, I always say to them, are there great comedians? If somebody asks me, I go, are there great Canadian comics? And they'll say, yes. And I'll say, name three of them that fill stadiums. And
Mm.
they'll go, Russell Peters, and I'll go, exactly. Never in
Keep
the
going.
history of Canadian comedy has there been a Canadian comedian who
Yeah.
fills stadiums. And it's nothing to do with the population. That's one thing I heard. We don't have the same population as America. So then why do
Bullshit.
Americans come up here and fill stadiums? You
Yeah.
know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Why does Kevin Hart come and do an entire stadium tour, but some of the greatest stand-up comedians in Canada are still booking clubs? And the
Mm.
reason is because we ourselves haven't made ourselves a brand in which we are needed by them. We still need
Yeah.
them, and because we still need them, they don't care about us. And so learning how to perform live will allow me to stay in my house, belt out material,
Mm-hmm.
connect to an audience that likes what I do, and then build it by doing it on a regular basis. The Comedy Reject podcast is something else where people could get into getting to know me, my character, and my sense of humor, which would then allow them to more connect with the subtleties and nuances of my performance.
Yes.
And then being live in performance, it's like, oh my God, I love this person. I know this person.
It's
If
almost
they
like
laugh a certain way.
it's almost like switching it in instead of providing the people with what you want. You like you said, you're just being yourself. And if people like it, that's what they're gonna keep coming back to, you know?
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that's once you learn, and this is very important for any comedian watching, once you understand how to be funny, and the next thing that you need to do is find your voice and make your own brand. If the best comedians in the world, as soon as you hear their voice, you know who it is.
Mhm.
They sound different, they talk different, they
Yeah.
act different. If you sound like everybody else, there's no room for you.
Mhm.
So you have to learn how to find that voice. And when you're finding that voice, what happens is a lot of the things that you did that were similar to everybody else, that were the same as everybody else, those people may be like, oh, well, he doesn't do that anymore. I don't like that.
Mm.
Right. But then you'll be
Yeah.
doing something, and maybe 5 or 10 people will be like, I love that. And I can
Mm.
tell you right now, I'd rather have 1,000 people love me than 10,000 people like me,
Mm.
because those 1,000 people that love you will ride with you. They will rock
Yeah.
with you, support you. They're coming to your shows. They're buying your merch. You know what I'm saying? And I try to show the math to a lot of young comedians when I say, when I talk about this, because I go, when you do a comedy show at a comedy club, right? The comedy club on a regular basis, well, on a, say they sell out, right? You've
Mm-hmm.
been at the Yuck Yucks. So say they sell out. That's 250 seats. Each person spending approximately $20 a ticket. Then they also buy food and drinks. So a $20 a ticket at 250 people is $5,000 at the door. Plus, they're going to make money off of the food. And then they're going to pay that comic $125. Now,
Mm-hmm.
why even bother with that where I could do a show with 50 people, charging them $10 and I'll make $500?
Mm-hmm.
So who's really more powerful in that circle? You
Yeah.
see like how you have to know your value and understand your power?
Exactly. And you know what?
If
I
you can
do.
rock a room of 250, you
Yeah.
can build an audience of 50.
Absolutely. Um, working in branding and marketing, and most of my clients being in the entertainment industry, branding is something that anybody in entertainment, whether you're a musician, comedian, anybody, it just completely kind of flies over your head. And sometimes it's because social media and shit is really fucking difficult to do. Or some people just don't want to put the time into it, or they don't see the value in it. And you are, even though it's a, let's say it's a band, it's you are still, there's still a personal brand attached to that. And um and something about, I love how you say, you rather have, a smaller amount of people that are going to ride with you, because it's so true. People will say, oh, I'm only getting, let's say I'm only getting 10 likes on a post on my business page, and it's like, yeah, but those 10 fucking people are going to buy shit from you every single time. Don't worry
Yes.
about growing your numbers. Don't worry about, oh, I got 10,000 people liking my page. Are those 10,000 people sharing your shit? Are they watching your videos? Are they buying your product? You need to have those ride or die people. And that's
Yes.
so important. It really is connected to building your brand and a strong
Yes,
brand.
and that's the true currency in the entertainment, because
Mm-hmm.
nobody is booking anybody based on pure talent.
Yes,
Some
it's
of
so
the
true.
best singers in the world are ugly, and you'll never see them. You know what I'm talking about? Like, I've heard people sing like an angel, look like a
Mm,
fraud, right? But what does it matter if we're
yeah,
listening to them?
yeah.
Because they need to brand and put an image to something. You know how many times I've seen live performances where I'll see some, large size, plus size lady in the back belting out tunes that'll make you cry. And you're like, why are you in a bar? You know
Mm,
what I'm saying? They don't care about quality. They care about selling an image and a product. Now, if that lady in the back said, forget the industry, what I'm going to do is just let people hear my voice and then
mm,
let them follow me that way. What would happen is they wouldn't care what she looks like because of the
mhm.
way that she made them feel with her talent. And the
Yeah.
same thing has to go around the board for all of us. We need, as entertainers, to stop waiting on a gatekeeper and start
Yes.
building our own house, because
Absolutely. Amen.
nobody is going to give us anything.
Yeah.
As talented, like I honestly, and this is not just blowing smoke up your ass, uh, from the moment I saw you
Oh,
host
here
and
we go.
entertain on a stage, I was like, that woman deserves a talk show.
Ah,
You
thank
deserve
you.
your own TV show, right? But here's the problem. You live in Canada, and
Mm,
there's never been a woman of color, such as yourself, that's run her own show, right? And it's not a coincidence. It's not, oh, you're not trying. It's just those opportunities are not going to come to you
yeah.
until you've made them come to yourself,
Exactly. I mean,
right? And
person
they're
of
not going
color.
to just
I'm a
come and say
single
you're
mom.
great.
Yeah, yeah. You gotta put in that fucking work, and man, you gotta put it in, even harder than if
You
I don't.
it's like they say when growing up black, a lot of people know the saying, you have to be 10 times better than a white person doing average in
Yes,
order to be seen in the same league as them. So you have
yes,
to be 10 times better just to stand beside them. And
yes.
so with comedy, I can't just be good to
Mm-hmm.
be known. In order to have my name talked about across this nation amongst other, talented comedians who are white, I have to bury them. I have to absolutely annihilate, take them
Yeah.
out of the question that they're even in the same league as
And
me.
then even then, people look at it, it's like, oh, you know what? He was pretty good. And it's like, nah, man, he fucking killed it.
Well, a lot of times when I started out my career, a lot of people credited my comedy and the response of my audience to the color of my skin. They
Mm,
would say things like, he's only funny because he's black, or he's just
mm.
blacking it up on stage. And then at a certain turning point in my career, I started to be acknowledged for my writing. And the funny thing about that was when they would come and say to me, Sterling, you're such a better writer now. I would turn and say to them, I'm telling the same jokes I told when you told me I wasn't.
Yeah.
So what has changed? You know what I mean? What has changed is their perception because of the fact that it's undeniable. It's not a fluke. Anybody can go on stage and on accident, not on accident, but luckily pull off a good performance. But the
Hmm.
consistency of everywhere I go, anywhere I've been, it's known and understood that that guy is a goddamn assassin. I had to get to that level just to be booked as a comedian. So
Yeah.
I had to be the best just to get booked.
Hmm.
Meanwhile, younger comics, in not necessarily in age, but in experience, are already getting the same opportunities that I get. So I have to be more aggressive and build my brand because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, if you dedicate your life to and this is no disrespect to the comedy clubs, but it's just a reality. If you're a comedian whose intentions are to fill stadiums, mine is to one day make 1 million people laugh simultaneously. That's mine. That's my goal. And I can
Mm.
promise you that goal will never happen if I only cater to the club. Because what happens in the club is this is how it goes. You start out as a middle act, then you end up being a host, and that's it. You don't go any further. You,
Mm.
you may headline if the headliner doesn't show up because they know you're capable,
Mhm.
but they're not going to bill
Yeah.
you as the headliner, push you as the star, unless they absolutely have to. And even in then, the advertisement, when a celebrity comes to town, there's
Mm.
billboards, posters, and commercials. But when
Yeah.
you're on stage, they
Where's the
might put a
fucking
post.
billboard? Where is
Right.
it at?
So it's like, why don't you invest that kind of effort that you're doing for an already made star for somebody in your own hometown? And it's like I
Yeah.
said, the reason is because there's no benefit to making you a star. There's
Yeah.
stars out there already. I'll bring them into my club if it's struggling, but I
Mhm.
don't really want them. They cost more. They have
The
demands.
money.
I don't
Yeah.
want all that stuff. I'm not. You know what I'm saying? They would love it if you're good. You know what I'm saying? And they're happy for you, and they want you to
Mhm.
get it better. And some of them even want you to become a star, but that's not their business to make you one.
Yeah,
And
exactly. And
so
that's
if
why
you're
it's
in the
your job.
business, yes, if you're in this business to become a star, to become a comedic legend, I would love it that the day I close my eyes for eternity, that when they talk about comedy, that my name is one of the names in dispute because everybody's going to have their disputes about who's great and who deserves to be on the
I'll be
list.
talking about you.
You know what I'm saying? I want my name to be in that list.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, I need to keep busy when there's no busy being offered by everybody else. And the
Exactly.
podcast and I'm going to be starting to do live performances. Like I just told you guys about that. It's actually going to be called Taking Notes, and it's basically going
Oh,
to
I like
be
that.
little segments where I'm going to do 3 to 4 minutes of untested material, and I'm going to have it be interactive where the crowd can do things like, for example, if I tell the joke and you like the joke, you can respond by saying, keep that shit. And then if I tell the
Mm.
joke and you don't like the joke, you can write and be like, throw that shit out. What that does is it allows the audience to have fun, understanding that this is not polished material, that
Mm.
this is a growing process, but that you yourself, the audience member, now have a hand in helping me
Yeah.
grow and develop the material.
And it's
Now,
still
when you see that
interactive.
polished joke, it's like, oh, I helped write that,
Yeah, I like that a lot. Good for
So
you,
that'll be
man.
coming soon. I just built a
Yes.
studio in my apartment. So I built my little film studio and I just finished it yesterday. So you'll see more live performances,
Yes.
and also the Comedy Reject will also now add a video element
I'm so
to it as
stoked.
well.
And if people
So
aren't aware, the Comedy Reject, you can catch it on all TaylorMade Radio Entertainment
that's
Network
right.
channels. Oh, I need to look at the camera.
So
Yes.
it's just it's so it, and as bad as COVID may have been for the world, it gave me time to think, because as a comedian you're self-employed, and although people may think that comedians are typically lazy and whatever, the
Who the
minute I
fuck is
wake up,
saying that?
yeah, we just let them people play on that idea, but it's like the minute you wake up, most of the times you're already late. You
Mm,
gotta wake up and you gotta contact all these places. Then you gotta send out emails and make phone calls and
mhm,
book shows. Sometimes if you're running your own show, you gotta book people for that. Then you gotta
mhm.
promote that. Now you gotta promote yourself. Now they want you to put out something funny for me. Hey, I saw your stand up. I liked it. Where's the rest? And
Mm.
it's just like, go to the show. Well, I don't want to go to the show. I want to stay and watch it free.
Yo,
And
can we
it's
put
just
me
like
on guest list? Like,
you're constantly going.
yes. I think
So
when
when
it
this,
happens to anybody again, and it comes even to me, I'll just use me as an example because everybody sees the fun shit you do. They see you on
yes,
stage having drinks, talking to everybody. They see me, on here doing shit like this, and they're like, "Oh, what does she do all day? Why? Like, how does she get by? She must be just fucking lazy. She's doing nothing." They don't see all the shit going on behind the scenes. My mind is business 24 fucking 7.
I
When I wake up, when I go to bed, when I'm sleeping, I'm dreaming about it. Like it
mhm.
is non fucking stop. People don't get that.
See, one of the ones that I saw you do where I was like,
Oh
people
dear.
are always seeing the fun, they don't know the work. The
Mm.
first time when you had me come down and do the bubble bath buffet
The
radio
live
show,
show. Yeah. Holy
just to get a
fuck.
bathtub on stage and fill it with water,
That
in
was
my mind,
insane.
I was like, how the hell did you pull that off? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Never
but something
again.
as small as that. The show
Yeah.
was amazing. Everybody was having a great time. It was packed. It was great.
Yeah.
But
Even in a
what they didn't
snowstorm.
realize is the stress for you to first of all come up with the idea, then to say to yourself, "I got to get a bathtub down here. Anybody get a bathtub that they're gonna?" And then I need bubble baths. Then I need other women to get in there with me naked. Like the complexity of that show and the way that you made it look so smooth
I'm
is
glad.
what really impressed me, because I was like, she's ready. You know what I'm saying? She's ready. Because I could not pull that off. I tried one time to get a lowrider bicycle to ride on the stage, and the shit fell over outside, and I gave up. I was like, fuck it. I don't need a bike. They're like,
Y'all can look outside
I,
at it.
I got a DJ just to play my intro song so that I could ride that bike in. And I walked in the door and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I go, "Fuck the bike. Let's
That would have
go."
been dope. Shit. I feel like you should explore that again. Bring it
But
back.
it's like, but that's what I mean when I'm saying like people don't realize the work that goes behind it. They only see the fun parts at the end. A
Yeah.
lot of people think when they come to my shows, they don't understand. A lot of comedians understand this. Regular people, you wouldn't. Sometimes a comedian will be like, "I need a moment by myself, or I
Mm,
need some time. I need to get ready." You'll hear them be like, "I gotta go on in a bit," and they don't want to talk to you. They want
yes.
to focus. There's a switch that flips inside of me personally when I go from Sterling talking to you to Sterling the performer.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm talking to you, I'm not going to be able to flip that switch the right way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm not going to be able to illuminate the room the way it deserves to be
Yeah.
done. And so people will be like, "We want to do shots with you. We want to drink with you. We want to smoke with you. We want to do all these kind of things." And you're like, "No, no, 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 no. You go sit down and watch the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let
I
me
see
do
you
the show.
after.
And
Yeah.
then after the show, we can have all the drinks and laughs." But right
Yeah.
now, I'm at work. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And as
I
much as I'm
feel
happy
you.
that you're here, I got a job to do.
I got shit to do. I
Yeah.
know. I before shows, I know the day I don't plan anything during the day, and I always have a bubble bath, before, and I get myself ready. Because it's you. There's no character. It's not separated. It's you, but it's a whole other mentality and mindset you got to go into
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, it's different. You need that moment to just separate and be like, get in your fucking zone.
Yes,
Yeah.
I got, and a lot of people don't understand that. And then what they see though is the end. And the thing about any art form is that you have to love the process more than the finished product.
Mm-hmm.
Because once that finished
Mm.
product is done, that's given up to the world. And then the world criticizes and tears apart what you put out there. Your child, you know what I'm saying, is gonna be, it's on its own out there in the world now to be judged and ridiculed and criticized or loved by society. But
Yeah.
whatever they say, good or bad, it has nothing to do with you. You have to go back to work and
Mm.
create more art.
Yeah.
And that's what makes you an artist, is that you taking a piece of your soul and you're putting it into something tangible and then giving it to the world. Sometimes the world will accept you, sometimes they won't, but at the end of the day, you're doing it for the simple fact that this is what you have to do. I can't, I'm not a comedian by choice. I'm a comedian by birth. I am a comic because I am a comic.
Oh,
I just, there's
yeah.
no job I'm going to have. There's no career I'm going to do where at the end of the day, people don't walk out and be like, this guy's really funny. You should have
You
been,
should
you
try.
ever tried comedy?
I'm
I
just
think you're doing
picturing
great.
right now like a mini Sterling Scott with like a little afro running around the house telling jokes. Is that what it was like when you were little?
No, absolutely not. Now, here's the thing. What it was, my comedy started, I'm not even the funniest in my family.
Oh
uh
shit.
in my immediate family, I'd probably rank myself third or fourth. And when I tell these stories on stage about my family and brothers and sisters that people are all dying over, it's real stuff. Like, these are real
Real life,
things
man.
when I'm telling you guys. And that's how I ended up being even considered funny, was because uh when I would tell a story about my life, people would be dying laughing, and I'm like, I'm not telling a joke. This shit's real. And they're like, yeah, but like, it's
It's
still
fucking
so funny.
funny.
And in elementary school, there was in elementary school they have like two grade eights, grade eight one class, another grade eight class.
They split, yeah.
Yeah, so there's about 60 kids there were 60 kids in one grade, right? And the only way when recess came out to get attention was to be funny. And all the kids would be on the playing field, and everybody would be saying something, talking about some kind of something. And what would happen is, if you weren't funny, we had an executioner, literally a
Jesus.
person who just stood there waiting for someone to not be funny and then roast them.
Is this Scarborough?
Yep.
Yeah. That
Born and
makes
raised
sense.
Scarborough, Ontario, St.
All right.
Boniface Catholic Secondary School. That's where it started. Then where it blossomed was when I went to high school. And again, nothing was intentional. I was
Mm-hmm.
only saying what I saw. And what happens is, when you go to a Catholic school where you wear a uniform, although we wear a uniform, you could look at someone's uniform and you could tell a lot about them. And so I would tease people based on that kind of stuff. I would look at and it got too easy when I was teasing the non-popular kids. It got real fun when you when you make fun of somebody who thinks highly of themselves.
Mm.
Like, there's that girl who's really, really pretty, but she's rude and she's mean and she's got an ugly soul. When she walks in the cafeteria, I'm like, oh man, did you ever know how big your forehead was? And then,
Oh
like, oh my
shit.
God, what? You know what I'm saying? And then
She
it would
probably
just
still
be,
lives with those words to this day.
oh,
Your
I've
voice
ruined a lot of
probably.
people's lives. I There's people
Thanks.
right now, if anybody from my high school is watching this, they are saying the names of the people's lives I've destroyed. I've ruined entire high school careers because of what, when you come in the cap, it would be a 20-minute hardcore making fun of you. And every day I'd pick somebody new. It was never the same thing. And it was just a natural thing for me to do. And then
Yeah.
I remember at one point in time, I was running track and field in high school, and I was easily one of the top 20 in the country. Easily one of the top 20, most likely one of the top eight.
I like how I went from 20 to 8.
Well, because I'm just thinking about the times, and I'm just like, I'm pretty sure I'm somewhere in there, but in the country. I was that good.
That's
And my
amazing.
coach goes to me, I'm not going to say you're Chris Rock, because at this time, Chris Rock was like doing Bigger and Blacker. So he was listed as the funniest comedian in America. So he
Mm.
was like, I'm not going to say you're as good as Chris Rock, but I'm going to say you've got potential. And I'm like, you're my track and field coach. You're supposed to be telling me about track and field. He had less. I'm one of the top in the country for the 100 meters, and he has more faith in me from
In
watching me talk to
comedy.
people in the hallway than he does seeing me on the track.
That's
And funny
hilarious.
enough, he was right. I guess he saw something I
Oh,
didn't know, because I ended up starting comedy late in my life. I dn't start until I was
yeah.
25, and it wasn't because I wanted to. It was because I was trying to get free wine. I went
Did you
on
get the
stage.
wine?
Yeah, I won.
Good
They were
job.
like, "Does anybody
Good
have a
job.
talent?" And then my friend goes, "This guy's funny." And I went on stage and I told a street joke. The joke crushed. I got the wine. We got drunk. I lied and said I was a comedian. They put me on stage the next month, and I bombed. I I, I ate a dick, but when I ate that dick, I go, I can do this. I just didn't respect it. I didn't respect the art form.
I do that when
Uh,
I eat dick too, you know?
yeah, you know
I
what I'm saying?
can do this.
You got,
I got this.
you got to respect it. You know what I'm saying?
Respect it.
There's a lot of
Yes.
work that goes
Mm.
into it. And
Yes.
then I moved out to Edmonton. And when I moved up to Edmonton, I started pursuing stand-up comedy. And,
Mm.
13 years later, I am, I'm here. I'm here.
What made you do the move from somewhere like the Toronto greater area to fucking Edmonton? Especially
Well,
for comedy. Was it comedy strictly that brought you here?
no, it wasn't
No.
comedy. It was poverty that brought me to Edmonton.
All right. Yeah,
See,
makes sense.
I grew up for real, like, in Scarborough, Ontario, in the bad neighborhoods. In fact, um, what's his name? Baka, aka Not Nice, one of Drake's artists. He was
Mhm.
my next door neighbor. And the entire I'd say about 60% of that entourage grew up on my street.
Wow.
So that's how I ended up, like, whenever I see them come to town, it's like I just go and hang out with them. I play basketball. I've known them my whole lives. You know what I'm saying? I know them by
Yeah.
their first names. And so I grew up poor, and I was in high school till I was 20. And,
Damn.
yeah. So when I left high school, I had no clue what to do with my life. All right. I didn't behave. I needed back then, I'm old enough where I had OAC in Ontario, grade 13. And you needed grade 13 to go to university. That's how you went to university. You had to do
What
those
the
courses.
fuck?
And when I was in university, I mean, not in university, in high school, I didn't have a high enough grade. You need to have in between 75 and 80 just to be looked at to go to University of Toronto or York University.
Mm.
And I had 68.5. And that was the end of it. They were like, no, we're not going to take you in. You're
Wow.
obviously not a good student. And I had nothing. I didn't know what to do with my life. And I ended up coming out to Edmonton because I was so poor. I literally landed in Edmonton wearing a pair of Echo jeans held up by a safety pin and a jacket that I had borrowed from a friend. Like, I came with nothing. And so I started working, and I was working in the oil fields, and I
Mm.
work, I'm not known for my intelligence, because you need pieces of paper that say you're smart. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
I'm not educated. I'm intelligent. There's a difference.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I get
I
that.
was young and virile, so I could use my body. So I would go and do factory jobs, and then I ended up in the oil fields. I'm
Mm.
thankful for those jobs because it allowed me to build relationships with, meet with, talk to everyday blue collar people. And I
Yeah.
worked with a variety of different races, cultures, and backgrounds. And it allowed me to shape the education that is my comedy. So when a person tells me what their profession is or their job is, I probably worked alongside it, with it, in it, or benefit for it. And
Mm.
so I'm able to now understand and converse with people on a personal level. So when I do crowd work, I can be like, I can tell the difference between office and who works in the warehouse. You know how some companies will have people that work in the office, people that work in the warehouse,
Yeah, yeah.
and they're like, "How can you tell?" I go, "If you're wearing a suit and you work in the warehouse, that suit looks like you have court in the morning." And they're like, "Holy crap, it's true," because they don't wear suits. So
Yeah.
when they're wearing it, it looks like an outfit on them. But people
Mm.
that wear suits in the office every day, when
It's like a
they wear it, it
confidence
just
rating
looks
it
like their
through. It looks
clothes.
normal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it looks like their everyday clothing.
Yeah.
Right. And you can see the difference. You can look at a person and tell the difference between that's what you dress as
Mm.
and you're dressed up. There's
Okay, so if you
two
had
different
seen me, what did you think I did when you first saw me? What would be my profession?
breaking hearts.
Oh, fuck off. It was one time. Oh, nah, that's
No,
fine.
as soon as I saw you, I immediately. Okay, here's
Oh,
how I could tell you I saw you. I was in Yuck Yucks. I was coming out of the green room. You were standing at the door for Chris LaBelle's show, and you were helping him out at the door. As soon as I walked out and I saw you, I go, I know she's doing something. Like you can't look, you can't resonate the energy you have, and you can't. Anybody who's been around you is going to testify that what I'm saying is true. You can't resonate the energy you have or have the presence you have and not be like, you're somebody important, aren't you? Like, you know what I
uh,
mean? I knew it immediately. I go, who is she and what does she do? I'm in a room of
what'd she get
250
here?
people. There's 250 people in the room. I look at you and I go, who is she and what does she do? You know what I'm saying? I
I'll
knew
take
it was
it.
something. It could have been. I would have thought singer. You look like you're a singer.
People think I'm a singer. Yeah,
The
I don't know
next thing
what.
I was thinking was that you could have been a comedian from a city that I've never heard of. Because I'm like, yo, you know what I mean? Like Chris reaches out to has a large amount
He's
of
got a
people that he
large
works
community.
with.
Shout out to Chris LaBelle.
Yeah, Chris LaBelle, I love you, baby.
Yes,
He's probably in a mountain somewhere with his shirt off, taking a
yelling
picture.
out in the wind. Yeah.
But like so I thought either I thought singer first, then I thought possibly comedian, and then finally I just thought that you're somebody involved in entertainment. I just didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
But there's certain things about certain people that when they walk into a room, the room turns to them. You're one of those people.
Oh shit.
And
All right.
so
We gonna end
that's
this
that's
right
that's
now.
what I
Okay.
saw. And
Mm.
well, that's why I was honored and
Mm.
just blown out of my mind, flattered that you wanted the Comedy Reject to be on
Oh,
Tailor Made Radio, because I believe that Tailor Made Radio is not only a platform but a perfect example of build your brand, because in time to come people will be coming to you the same way they go to Joe Rogan and be like, we'll give you 100 million just to do what you're doing.
mm,
I believe Tailor Made Radio has that potential and that
mm.
power because of the presence of the person who's behind it, which is you.
Yeah, yeah, the brand has been a struggle to build because it's a learning process. Even when it comes down to, okay, what I post online, I need to be careful about what I say because I'm gonna make some people angry. And it's like, how? And then it comes to it, like, now I don't give a fuck. I'm like,
Yeah,
it's been 5 years. I'll say whatever the fuck I want to say
yeah,
now. But no, I appreciate that a lot because it's been a long process. And, I work with a lot of people, but it's so important to me. I don't know if it's the Scorpio in me or what it is, but loyalty is fucking everything. And it's so
yes,
important to build a really solid foundation, a solid family, have the right people involved. I love that. It was a no brainer having you a part of this because just like you've seen the talent in me, I've seen that in you since day
oh,
one. I
thank
think
you.
you're fucking fantastic. I see the hustle, not only talent, because like you said, it's not just about talent, but the fucking hustle. Being an entrepreneur, being a business owner, being someone in the entertainment industry, you have to have the hustle.
Yeah,
Otherwise, you're not going to fucking get anywhere. And you
yeah,
have that. So I'm so happy that I have you. I have Glock Online. So I have some drag
yep.
queens involved. I have music. Like, I just want it to be little pieces of everything that someone's going to get offended, but also there's something for everybody, you know?
Listen, if 1 million people love you, 5 million people don't like you.
That's true.
So
Yeah.
who are you catering to? The
Yeah.
5 million that don't like you or the
Not
1
fuck
million that
them.
love you? It's
Yeah.
just the 1 million that love you. So fuck what the other 5 million say. You have to focus on What are you doing? Who are you doing it for?
Mm.
All right. And so when I do comedy, there's jokes I'm gonna tell where people are gonna get offended. I made a post and I lost like 30 followers,
What the
and
fuck
people
was
writing
it?
me.
Do you
I
want to speak about it?
with the Ahmad, I'll say it, the
All
Ahmad
right.
Arbery post, and so what did I say exactly? This is what I said, and I stand by it, and I'm not changing anything about it. But I lost about 30 followers in about an hour
Damn.
from this. I said white people who deny the suffering of black people do so because
Mm.
if they acknowledge it, they will see they are the cause of it.
Mm.
And people, they were like, nope,
You
what?
know what?
And
All this shit, I even lost some black friends who still don't see, with what's everything's going on right now. They don't see why are they rioting? Why are they looting? They still can't see past that shit. And even as a black person, like, what do you mean you don't fucking get
and
this?
that's frustrating because you know what's really why it really resonated and upset me is because that man died for the same thing that I was on the news for. So a while back, I went to Money Mart to cash a check, and they called the cops
Oh,
on
I
me,
remember this. Yeah.
and they and I videotaped the whole thing to show that this guy's being racist, openly racist to me, right? Calling the cops on me, and then I left, and people were like, "Well, why did you leave?" And I go, "Because these cops are coming, they're gonna beat me up." And they were like, "What? No." I posted that story. It was on CTV News, and money. And what happened was, all I got in my inbox was a bunch of you Nigerian nigger
Mm.
monkey, you fraud check cashing. And this is the thing that white people didn't even understand. They were saying to me, "Why are you going to Money Mart to cash a check? That seems shady." First off, Money Mart is a check cashing place. Second of all, banks hold your check for 5 business days. I am self-employed. If you
Yeah.
hold my check for 5 days,
That's
that
rent,
means that
that's
I don't
food,
get
that's
paid
gas.
till the next week for a
Yeah.
job I did this week. And if you
Hmm.
do show after show after show, you may do 3 shows on the road, spending all the expenses of a hotel, gas, and
Yes.
food. And now you've spent $900 to do 3 shows, but you got $0. I
Yeah.
have to go to Money Mart to cash that check because I can't wait for the bank to
Say it
alleviate that
fucking
hold.
louder for the people. I hope
And
whoever's
then they
watching
turn
this
around
is
and they go,
listening.
and the
Yeah.
thing that upsets me is you guys saw the video. This guy took
Hmm.
my check, he threw it at me, called the cops on me, and before anybody goes, what he did was wrong, they immediately go, why were you there?
Yeah.
And that's what I saw with this case. He got murdered because they suspected at a check cashing place that he gave them a counterfeit $20 bill.
$20 bill. This man
And
lost
he's
his life
dead
over
for that.
$20. Yeah.
And I was in that exact position. That news story is still on my Instagram page. And you know what Money Mart did? They wrote me a letter and said, prove that we were racist. You have 2 years to take us to the Human Tribunal Court. That's what they wrote to me. And you see,
Was that
people
even a
don't,
plan you were doing? Why would they just come at you with this?
well, no, because I, when I did that story,
Yeah.
they wrote me the letter saying, if you think that we were racist, then
Uh,
prove it, because it was our policy. And here's the another thing that I hate, that a lot of white people who try to deny the persecution of black people is when they use the word policy.
mm,
That's our policy.
mm,
If your policy is something that's not carried out for each and every individual customer, then it is not a policy, it is a prejudice. That is something
mm-hmm.
that you use at the discretion of the color of the skin or the look of the person you are dealing with. That's not a
Yeah.
policy, that is a prejudice. If it was policy, then that means every person that's ever cashed a check in Walmart would have gone through what I've gone through.
Yeah.
But none of them have ever seen what I went through. And so because of that, they will go, well, that was our policy.
Mm,
And then white people will go, well, you didn't follow the rules. That's why.
mm,
And I'm
mm-hmm.
like, okay, cool. How many white people for doing 10 over have been dragged out of their cars with shotguns drawn to their head, laid in the street, handcuffed, dragged to a car for going 10 over? Because
Yes.
that happened to me twice. How many white people have been pulled over for zero reason,
Mm.
dragged out your car, had your car impounded? They wouldn't let you take your stuff out the car, stole your wallet, and then you have to report to the police that you were robbed by the
Yeah.
police. And then the police wrote me a letter saying, we believe that we didn't rob you. Even though I sent them the photos of how they destroyed my vehicle,
That's
bent up my
fucked up,
license
man.
plate, and they go, not enough proof for us. And obviously, I don't have the time or the money to spend years in court with you.
Yeah.
When they beat up Tupac and he went to court, the same exact thing happened. He gave up in court because they kept pushing it
Yeah.
over, and he was tired of going to court. And so he let it go too. These are all things that people don't see. All they see is their
Exactly.
interaction with the police. And this is how far back this racism goes. Richard Pryor said in one of his bits in the 60s, white people don't believe that cops kill black people. You know what I'm saying? They think
Yeah.
we're talking shit.
Yeah.
That was the
Yeah.
1960s. Now let's move forward to the 1990s, to the 2000s. Dave Chappelle, he's like, they'll just kill a black person and sprinkle crack on them. They're
Mm.
doing that right now. Anytime they kill a
Yeah.
black person it was innocent, the first thing you do is try to find a bunch of past crimes
Yes.
that this
Yeah.
person did. That's their crack that they're sprinkling on us.
Yeah.
Mind
So
you,
true.
you turn around and you look at the white side. How many white people been pulled over for speeding and then got sent away, telling them this is a warning? How many white
Yeah.
people had a tail light out and they told you, hey, fix that, send you on your way? When white people get pulled over by the police, it's because you did something wrong.
Yeah.
When black
Yeah.
people get pulled over by the police,
It's
they
because
were
you're
looking
black.
for something to
Yeah.
be wrong.
Yeah.
There's a huge difference. Look at
Yeah.
when in comedians in cars getting coffee, Jerry Seinfeld is speeding. Chris Rock, a multi-millionaire comedian, is sitting beside him. The cops put the lights on. Chris Rock panics. And Jerry Seinfeld looks at him and goes, are you serious? And he goes, we don't get out of these situations very well.
Yeah.
So it's like we've always had this pressure on us. We've always had this foot on our neck.
Yeah.
And now you're seeing it. So
Yeah.
the outrage that you're seeing with the rioting, first of all, the rioting was proven to be started by white police officers.
Yeah.
That's already been seen
Yeah.
and proved.
First off,
But
yeah.
the next thing is, I look at it not even as a riot. I look at it as a rebellion. You see, if
Mm-hmm.
you shake a can of Coke and then open it, it explodes. You don't blame the Coke for exploding. You look at the person who shook it. Well, we've been
Fuck, I
shook for
love
our
that.
whole goddamn lives.
Yeah.
And now we're exploding, and you're like, why?
Mm-hmm.
You see, they don't even look at themselves from shaking that can.
No. No.
And there's a
And
lot of people, anybody who's watching this that works in the oil fields, you cannot tell me that the oil fields is not racist. The oil fields is disgustingly racist. Any white people who have been at Christmas dinner, you cannot tell me that you don't have racist family members who say, I'm not racist, but, and it
yeah.
continues
Yeah.
on with disgusting things.
And
You cannot tell me that what we are talking about, that you don't know about it.
yeah.
And when you're seeing it, now you're seeing it and it's like, oh my God, this is so bad. No. This is every day for us.
Yeah. And I think it's so, I mean, how do I put it into words? You know, like people know they're fucking racist. People know what racism is. And but at the same time, especially in places like here right in Alberta where it's so you've grown up with so much conditioning and all this shit that's passed on through generations that this is just how things have always been. You know, I'm with my boyfriend is white and he is in no way racist at all, but still I find myself when I'm having to explain a few things to him and it's like he really just doesn't understand. And it's not that it's just that people are just completely oblivious to some of the shit that goes on sometimes, or why a black person might get offended, or why that's fucking wrong, where that stems from. And then it's like, wow. But a lot of people aren't willing to look at that and understand why. You try to just talk to them about it, they're like, nah, I ain't got time for that, but look at this shit.
The way to compare it, and the best way to compare it is this: the way me as a man never has to fear the idea of being raped while walking down the street is the same way a white person will never understand how fearful we are for our lives when dealing with police, and how often we deal with, prejudice and racism. You know how many times I go into something with customer service and it'll be a certain person of color and I'm like, please don't be racist, please don't be racist, because that person will see me and refuse to help me. and then they'll be super nice to somebody else.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? How many times have you, as a black person, been at the bar and watched the bartender serve all the white people around you and then ignore you?
And you know what's weird when I think about situations like that is how, it even comes into genders, because the black man is looked on so poorly. But then a black, and I shouldn't say black women because I'm what they call a light skinned girl, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm very much in the middle. White men have a fucking fixation on being with a black woman. If I was much blacker, maybe, of course I still deal with the racism shit, but there's something weird that I'm treated
It's the
very
colorism.
differently. It's just
So
yeah.
what that is, so that's been going on forever.
Yeah.
And so that's why, see, growing up black, you had a lot of issues if you were dark skinned.
Mhm.
Now I'm dark skinned, and growing up in the 90s, we're not even going to go far back. Growing up in the 90s, if you were light skinned, you were immediately considered good looking. You got the TV roles, you got the shows, you got all the attention. The
Mm.
darker you were, the more that they would just push you off to the side. And so then what happened is then dark skinned people started hating light skinned people because of their. That's why to this day you'll still see them say, "Why you acting light skinned?" And that shit
Yeah.
is all colorism. That shit is saying that the light skinned person received, like, what they would say, excuse my language, house nigga privileges, where it's like you got
Mm.
treated nicer by the white person, but we're still all slaves, right? So
Yeah.
so a light skinned person would get more accepted. You have a more acceptable look. You're more. That's why a lot of the straight hair, light skin, that looks almost to the point where you're like, are you tanned white or a black person? You
Yeah.
know. But
Yeah.
that was what was more accepted. And then what
Mhm.
happened is dark skinned people started to have, some of us had self hatred for our own skin, which then led
Yeah.
to the bleaching of our skins
Mhm.
because we wanted to be accepted,
Which people
just to
are
be
still bleaching their skin right now,
yeah, and
by the
well,
way.
that's a massive thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who bleach their skin, and it's not only black people.
Yeah, it's very true.
Indian people have an issue with colorism. Asians, Filipino people, they bleach their skin, and everything of being associated with being dark is a negative. And
Mhm.
so, being a black person, where you are the darkest of all of them, we get a lot of shit, and I don't understand it. I don't know why people hate black people so much. And I don't say person of color, I'm saying black people, because I've experienced racism from the whole spectrum. Whenever I
Mhm.
see, um, you know, may it be Filipino, Indian, white, whatever, I have to have in my mind this person might hate black people. And it happens very often.
It's
And the thing that
true.
annoys me is when you meet people who act like their culture don't do it. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? And
Yeah.
it's like, that you guys do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you guys meet me, know me, see me, and you're like, he's not all the things that my
Yeah.
family said. And it's like, yeah, because it's all lies. Like,
And
there's
I
no color for being a bad person. If you're a
yeah.
bad person, there's a bad person. Bad people come in all colors,
Yeah.
but not one color represents all bad. But most of the bad happens to us for being black.
Yeah.
Because there's no reason, there's no solid. I don't know why, but for some reason, black men, a big black guy, is the scariest thing in the world
Mm.
to people. You know, I'm not even an intimidating person yet. I walk down the street, people cross the street.
Yeah.
To this day, people cross the street whenever I walk down the street. Whenever I go into places, you know what I'm saying? People follow me around stores. I get all
That's
this
the fucking
treatment
thing. Even I get that shit.
today. I
Yeah.
get that now. And then they throw terminologies at you because of the color of your skin that they wouldn't throw at a white person.
Mhm.
Like, they'll be like, "Why are you so ghetto?" Wait a minute. What's ghetto about what I'm doing? Was it
Mm.
ghetto when Sandy was going to Walmart in fucking her
Flip-flops and
pajama
socks?
pants
Yeah.
and Crocs? No, that was just her. But
Yeah.
when I wear a matching Jordan suit, which costs 3 times as much as your goddamn fucking entire outfit, I'm the ghetto one, which
Yeah.
reflects what? Or when they say I live in a bad neighborhood, or my neighborhood is the hood. What is the hood? Is it because there's a lot of murderings in your neighborhood?
Mm,
Or is it because there's a lot of people of color in your neighborhood? Any side of the city that has black people in it in Alberta, they call the hood. You
yeah.
guys have the northeast, we have the north side. And they'll be like, it's the hood. Okay, what makes it the hood? Is it that there's a lot of robberies, murders, and killings? No. And then none of that's happening. And then they'll try to exaggerate and be like, well, that's
And
where.
let's just remember how it even became the hood at the fact that they keep these neighborhoods in fucking low income and
Yep.
for low income housing. So they are still segregating people of color, of any color, into these neighborhoods. So we can't rise up anywhere.
And it's a trap because to be in low income housing, you have to have a certain amount of kids and have a certain income. If you have an income below what is below the poverty line, so I believe it's 15,000 or 20,000, and you have multiple children, then you get that housing. But check the
Hmm.
joke. The only way to keep that housing is to have that low income, which means that if you raise your income, you
Mm,
lose your housing, which means that you're never allowed to leave. You cannot leave because in order for you to leave, you have to make more money. Now, when
yeah.
you make more money, you don't have the money for a mortgage right away, do you? No, it takes time, months, lifetimes to build up the income to put down that 20% on
Yeah.
a mortgage. But when you make over a certain number, you're kicked out of that government housing. Now you're into renting. That rent is going to be exponentially higher. Your ability to save is lower. Now you're
Hmm.
back in that rat trap.
Yeah,
So you
it's never
see,
getting ahead.
there's no ways to get out. And then yet people look at it like we're benefiting
It's all
from it.
your fault. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
exactly.
And
Yeah.
it's like, no, that's a trap. It doesn't allow you to grow. Being in government housing does not allow you
Mm.
to grow.
Yeah,
It
nobody's getting
keeps
ahead
you
there.
stifled,
Yeah.
right? And that's the thing that's sad about it. And then and on top of that, you're giving priority to single mothers, right? Which is not a bad thing. But
Mhm.
here's what happens. Now you have an entire neighborhood of single mothers who are working a job just to maintain the little bit of bills that they could afford to pay, while there's a
Yeah.
bunch of children who are out in the streets that are unsupervised and unparented. And
Mm.
that's how you have people who end up, like they say, the idle hands is the devil's play art. There's a reason why you don't see a lot of black people in hockey. It's because it costs way too much damn money.
And
There's
it's
a reason
fucking
why.
cold, yo. We don't like the cold. Come on.
Not only, yeah, it was true, but if we wanted to, we could dominate that shit. Trust me.
It's true.
But it's just like it costs.
Yeah, that shit is a
You gotta
lot of
find
money.
skates. You gotta find ice. Then you gotta find pads
I didn't
and
get to
a
play
helmet.
sports. Yeah, no.
It's too expensive.
Yeah.
You're not gonna afford that when you're working at you're working at a factory job.
Yeah.
Making $15 an hour. You're poor. You know what
Mm.
I'm saying? So opportunities weren't afforded to us in that situation. So it required, so when you see somebody raised from those situations, that person's skill level, their hustle, their integrity, their ability to adapt, grow, and change has to be 10 times higher just to get
Yes.
out of that. And then that's
Yeah.
why when you see them on comparison to other people, you're like, wow, you're way better than this person who came
Mm.
from this great situation. It's like, yeah, we fucking had a lot to grow through. And then people
Yeah.
say, well, if you did it, why can't others? And then
Mhm.
I say, well, flowers can grow through the cracks of concrete, but that doesn't mean you sow seeds there, right?
God damn. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just
Yeah.
because I came out doesn't mean everybody else is.
It's true. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
backs of how many people I had to be hoisted up by, not walked on, hoisted up by to be in my position. Well, shoot, their backs are still bent. You
Mm.
know what I'm saying? Because I haven't made it out yet myself.
Yeah,
But what
I
I
feel
have
that.
done is been able to see the sunlight. And now that I see the sunlight, it's like there's hope. Not
Mhm.
necessarily for me, but for future generations. I hope to learn how to create wealth so that my grandchildren never have to go through what I went through.
That's where I'm at.
And
Yeah, I
that's why
feel
I'm
you.
working as hard as I do work. So
Yeah.
when I see a black man who was murdered for the same thing that I went through, I just fortunately ran away because I knew I'm not waiting around for no cops. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yep.
I've been beaten up by cops twice. I've been robbed once. And yeah, so 2 times I've been beat up for, mind you, I have no criminal record. I
Mm.
have no criminal record,
Yep. That's usually how it goes.
but
Shit.
I've been beaten up twice and robbed by police. And that's me. So if someone's watching this right now and you're like, oh, that only happens in isolated incidences, you know
Mm,
me. And I
mm,
told you about 3 in my life.
yeah.
Okay? So don't act like this is an isolated incident. Don't act like, oh, it's only criminals. You know
Mm,
me.
yeah.
You know I didn't do anything. And yet it's happening to me.
Yeah.
So you think it's just me alone? No.
No.
No. In
And that's why we're
Ontario,
angry.
they threw a black woman off of a balcony.
Yeah.
And you know what the first thing everybody's saying? Well, let's see what the police have to say first.
Mm.
Now,
And that's
mind you, if it
how
was a
that's
bunch
how
of
this
black men
black
trying to throw a
woman
white
had.
woman off the building,
Yeah.
they'd all be arrested.
I'm still, and I try to look at everything at all fucking angles. And I've looked at this story, and this is how another black woman on my Facebook has, she attacked me last night online, and then I woke up, she had deleted me completely off Facebook. I'm like, all right. And she is very, on that. No, this woman jumped off the balcony, and that's totally fine. You could believe that. But if you look at the fucking stories of how the police locked her in the bathroom and would not let her family through the hallway to go into the bathroom. And then she hears her daughter in the bathroom, who's locked in there with police, yelling for her mom for help. And then suddenly she's off the balcony now. But because she's in mental distress, she must have just fucking jumped off because she was suicidal. I've been suicidal in my life, and I will never fucking jump off a balcony to do the job. That is never, no,
Especially when
thank
your
you.
child is outside.
No, like I'm good on that. So it's a really fucked up story,
But
but
they
even
also have
outside.
multiple eyewitnesses who are collaborating with the story.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? The family members were downstairs while the body was still there, trying to be like, they pushed her. You know what I'm saying? But we
Jesus
have to
Christ.
do all this crazy shit just to get
Just to
attention,
prove it. Yeah.
just to get the attention. And I mean, the fact that throughout history, the amount of bullshit that has been proven that has been done to black people, aka, letting giving black women less care in hospitals because you could tolerate more pain. How the Tuskegee experiment where they inject us with diseases just to test us. The
Mm,
schooling system where you only get money from the neighborhood, so they put us in poor neighborhoods so that you can now have shitty schooling. Well, that's an American system. That's not in Canada for that one. For the fact that American black people in America make 10% of the population, but 80% of their jail cells. Yeah, and then that a white person will get off on a crime and get less time, like ridiculous percentage of the time, more than a
mm-hmm.
black counterpart for the same crimes. It's so constant that at some point you got to be like, it's willingful ignorance.
Yeah.
It's what's that
Yeah.
noise? I don't want to look over there.
Yeah.
I'm not looking over there. I'm not looking over there. And I understand why. One day this white guy said something to me in passing and it blew my mind. I saw a sign that said construction, don't walk on the sidewalk. So I walked on the road. He walked on the sidewalk. And I go, why did you do that? And he goes, what do you mean? I go, why did you walk on the sidewalk when it says don't walk on the sidewalk? And he goes, I'm white. I do whatever I want until someone
Mm,
tells me to stop. And I was
wow.
like, holy shit. That is such a wild train
I
of
ain't
thought.
with that guy. I'm not with him. No.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, because like I'm there, like, yo, they'll attack me. You know what I'm saying? Like they'll charge me to think. And he's just like, yeah, what's the
No
worst
big
they're gonna do
deal.
is tell me to stop doing it. You know what I'm saying? Whereas
Yeah.
me, I'm like, no, 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 no. That they'll charge me, they'll attack me, they'll all
Yeah.
kinds of things. And that's why the Ahmaud Arbery one got me so heated, because this was a black man in his own neighborhood going for a jog on a Sunday
Yeah.
morning, and he gets murdered. And it's like, why do you guys immediately go to, well, what did he do?
What did he do?
That right
The
there is
video shows he's
anti-racism.
fucking jogging down the street and two people in a truck are right there ready to fucking kill him. That's what happened. You can see it in the video.
They
Why are we
they killed
questioning
they
anything?
killed a child because they had a toy gun.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? That should have been a riot right there. That's
yeah.
why I said I don't want no thoughts and prayers. I want
Mm,
bodies, because this is murder. This isn't
yeah.
nothing to do with the law. And the
Mm-hmm.
problem with the law is that in order to maintain their presence, they have to deify themselves. Because if they ever admit that they are bad, then none of us will believe in them. And if none of us believe in the police, then we won't follow their orders. And if we don't follow their orders, then fuck them. They're useless.
Fuck them.
And it
Yeah.
annoys me for any white person who says not all cops are bad. Let me ask you this. Do you ever think all those innocent black people that died that the cops said to themselves, not all black people are bad?
Yeah.
I don't fucking think so.
Yeah. And the
Because they
fact
hurt
is, you know,
us.
I have a really good friend who is a police officer, and when I think of her and I look at her, I see her being somebody who could make that change, and the type of an officer that is supposed to be an officer, the type of person who's supposed to be a police officer. But in the same sense, she knows she can't make that change, and she knows they're feeding into this system still. You're still following the law, you're still following policy, you're not doing anything different, so you're still feeding into this shit. And you know, it's not sure, not maybe not all cops are going to go kill somebody who's unarmed, but they're still feeding into the shit and still allowing this to keep happening.
I once did a
So
comedy show where a cop bragged to me how he had a broken hand. So like I was making fun of him on stage. Didn't know he was a cop at the time. I was making fun of him on stage. He came to me after the show and he was laughing. He's like, "Oh, here's how I really broke my hand. I broke it on some homeless native guy in a bus shelter." And he was proud of that. And he didn't say that to me thinking that's racist or that's anything. He said that to me laughingly,
yeah,
proudly.
yeah,
And
yeah,
these are the things that are happening every day. And people are like, don't look over there. Just don't look
yeah,
over there. Just don't look over there because it doesn't happen to me. Don't look over there because it doesn't happen to me.
yeah.
And the reality is that we have a very, very serious issue in that we got a war. We have a war going on realistically. And what's happening in America is definitely going to spill over into Canada if they don't behave themselves. Because you see, here
It's
in
true.
Alberta, black people don't make up a large population. The real places where black people are is Toronto,
Yeah.
Montreal, maybe a little bit in Ottawa, but the rest of Canada were very sparse.
When I first moved to Alberta, I was the first black person anybody had ever seen in real life. Yeah, we're
Yeah,
fucking sparse here.
most of the white comics that I work with that are my age didn't meet their first black person until high school.
It's fucked.
Right?
Yeah.
So and then and so their lives, their culture, and everything about what they embody. When we were introduced, all that was introduced with us is the biases and prejudices that was given to them from racist family members and from what they've seen.
Yeah.
And it's like we are showing police brutality videos from today all the way to basically when we were freed from being slaves. It's been constant in every generation.
Yeah.
60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. We have some kind of riot or upheaving from black people being beaten and by cops. Don't tell me that there's not all cops are bad.
Yeah.
When all these incidents that are happening are common for us as black people. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then they do things that we don't report. There's a lot of things that happen to us where we don't say anything about
Oh
it
yeah.
because we're like, what's the point?
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? I had in a parking lot 2 police officers in a parking lot. I get out of the car and I'm walking, and they drive up the car, get out the car, pull guns on me, and tell me to get on the floor. And I'm like, what am I being arrested for? And they're like, shut the fuck up or I'm going to shoot you. So I comply because I don't want to die in no fucking parking lot. And you know why they pulled me over? Because they said, we just wanted to know who you were. Now, if any white people have that story, I want to see how many of you have that story.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of black people that have that story. And again, for anybody who's watching now into the hour and 8 minutes that we've been talking, I have no criminal record. I'm a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
And I'm not a threat to society. So if this is what I'm going through, you can only imagine what the rest of us go through.
Yeah.
And that's just a regular thing. And then, you know, I mean, I'm seeing a lot that there's white people that want change, right? And people are like, what do I say to them? And I'm like, I don't say shit to them. My conversation's not with them. My conversation's with me and my black people to keep us uplifted and us empowered. For the white people that are asking what should they do, they got to talk to their family. They got to talk to their cousins, brothers, uncles, the ones from the farm, to think, because them motherfuckers make up the racist collective that
Yes.
say, I'm not racist, but.
Yeah. I know I
Or
wanted to
I don't give
point.
a fuck what they say, this and that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's who you need to be talking to.
Yeah.
That's who you need to be dealing with. Not us. Not us. There's nothing you could do for us. What you can do is deal with the racism in your house.
Yeah, it's true.
There's a comedian who's white from Edmonton, and one day he said to me when I came off stage, he was like, I believe what you're saying with the racism because my father is racist, and everything that you're talking about, he says at home.
Any
You know what I'm
boyfriend
saying?
I've ever had, and the first time meeting their parents, the first thing I ask is, do they like black people? And, at first people are like, oh, but then they have to think about it for a sec.
Yeah.
And the fact they got to think about it for a second, there's been some times where like, well, you might have some troubles with my dad, or you might have some troubles with my
Yep.
grandma, or, it's a fucking thing out there. And it's so true. You want to help? Talk to your family members, talk to your
Yep.
friends.
Because the
We
reason
we know
why,
what we're doing.
right. And if there's somebody listening right now and they're saying to themselves, well, what about when black people make fun of us? Or when they listen, that is a direct result of white people beating on us for so many years that we are now almost in fear, where it's like, yes, we attack you because of the fact that we think you're racist. We immediately think you're racist. You know what I'm saying? Every time we are dealing with a white person, we have to play that game where it's, are you being racist? Like when I get a
Yeah.
car rental and you ask me for 3 pieces of ID and I go, who the fuck carries 3 pieces of ID?
Mm-hmm.
Are you being racist or is this policy
It's
again?
so
When
true.
I get into a cab and the cab driver looks in the back and goes, I'm gonna need the full money up front. Is that
Who the
policy
fuck
or
does
are you
this?
being racist?
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like, and these are
man.
things where it's like on a day-to-day basis, we deal with these things.
Yeah.
And so it's like death by 1,000 cuts, where it's like now if you breathe the wrong way, we'll be like, man, fuck you. Because it's just we're tired of trying to guess and play the game. How many black people understand that we have multiple voices? We have our
Yeah.
white voice and we have
Oh,
our
yes.
regular voice. That's
Yep.
something that white people don't even understand.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, what do you mean? It's
And
like,
you know
yeah,
when to turn it
white
off
people
and turn it
on
on.
average are so racist that when
Yeah.
we pick up the phone to talk to you, we have to change the way we speak to fool
Mm-hmm.
you. My name is Sterling Scott. It sounds like a white guy. And when I answer the phone, it's hello, how are you doing? Great. All right, good to see you. All right, yeah.
And simple
Awesome
things like
sauce.
that come
See
down
you
to
right
our
away.
hair too. Do we leave our hair in a fro? Do we get a weave? Do we relax it?
That's
Do we put it in cornrows? How am I
mm-hmm.
going to wear it today so that people are going to accept me?
So that
Yeah.
so that we don't offend them. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? And it's
exactly.
crazy
Yeah,
that
not anymore.
now we're fighting back against that. But
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of the time, uh, if you wanted a hairstyle, they'd be like, no, you can't have that hairstyle. You won't get a job. No, you can't have that hairstyle. They go look at you. They're going to think you're a criminal. They're going to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We couldn't even do our hair without the fear of being judged. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? I remember watching young white kids get their hair turned pink and purple and blue and have jobs. And I'm like, what?
What?
How do you have a job? Like you have a job, like and
Yeah.
piercings all up their ear and gauges in their mouth,
They
but
have a
they got
job and they have
jobs.
respect.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, as a black person, if I walk in and they don't like, my shoes or my out, or he a thug, or you a
Yeah.
rock, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, that person has got purple hair and you hired them, and it's just
Mm-hmm.
like it's not fair.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like it's too difficult for us to be sitting here trying to figure out what we should say to each race. We need to work on our own. And well, sorry, I don't want to say race, color, because there's only one race, and that's the human race.
Mm.
And the faster that we realize that, the faster we'll realize that the real enemy is poverty, not color, because poverty induces the situations that we are in. People
Yeah.
are afraid of black people robbing them, yet they are accepting when banks take millions from them, foreclose their houses, and put them on the street. You should be more afraid of those bankers than you should be afraid of any
Yes.
gang of black people,
Absolutely.
because we will never take from you what they have already taken from you. So poverty, greed, those are the real enemies in this
Yeah.
world. And unfortunately, the ones at the top that they no longer see people as people. They see them as a way to, how do I make money from this thing? You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
You are what we call an asset.
Yeah.
Your job is to make me money or die.
Yeah.
That's it. You have no value to me. And when we realize that uh, we've devalued humanization and we've overvalued money, monetization, we'll realize where we went wrong. Because there
Mhm.
should be no reason why we value property, money, or any of those things over a
Over
human life.
human life. Yeah.
But unfortunately, that's where we're at right now. Now, when we deal with this situation, because let's be realistic, the war really is between white and, I mean, like, there's people who have initially taken the side of white. I think Patrice O'Neill, great comedian, God rest his soul, said this. He's like, there's a war going on, and white and black are the major battlegrounds, right? Asians and Indians chose white. They chose the white side. You know what I'm saying? You look at India, you look at their customs, they chose white. Brown people and natives, they got black. You know what
Mm.
I'm saying? They're on the black team. They deal with the same kind of oppression that we do,
Yeah, it's true.
right? And when white and black figure out their differences, I believe that the rest of them will
We'll
fall in
just
line as
follow
well.
suit. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're kind of the leaders out here.
And to anybody who's like, oh, I'm Asian or I'm Indian and I don't hate, I'm not speaking to you specifically. I'm talking in generalization. And if I'm speaking in generalization, I challenge any of you guys to tell me that I'm lying when I say that people from, India don't like black people, that people from China don't like black people, that people from Japan don't like black people, that people from the Philippines don't like black people. And these are all people, when they go people of color, they try to group them all together and they go, no, 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 no. You can't group us together because you guys don't like us either.
Mm.
So
Mm.
you guys need to understand that I'm
Man.
speaking in generalization. And if you think I'm lying, look around your family 2 times, and then you'd be like, "Shit, he's right." Any Indian person that thinks I'm lying, bring a any Indian female who thinks I'm lying. She's gonna start laughing right now when I say this. Bring a black guy home.
Mm.
How your parents react? They'll be like, "What are you doing?" You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Asians. How many Chinese women bring black men home? Right? For every one that says I did it, I'll show you 1,000 that can't.
Mm.
So you see, when I'm talking about racism in generalities, I need people to get out their feelings when I'm talking about it. Because what happens with what we're saying right now, we've said a lot of powerful and important topics and things, and people will try to selfishly make it about them and block out everything I've said because they're relating to only their own personal
Their own
view and perspective.
experiences. Yeah.
And what I'm
Yeah.
saying to all those people is that I challenge you to go look through your culture, through your family, through your work friends, and to see if what I'm saying is lies.
Mhm.
I promise you, you don't have to go far. I promise you, you could go to
Yeah.
one dinner, one work conversation. You could be in a smoke pit and you will
Mhm.
hear everything that I am saying. And it's to
Yeah.
those people who I say, you don't need to talk to us, console us, or do anything for us. You want to help us? Talk to your people, because
Yeah.
your people are part of the oppression that is holding us down, part of the
Mm.
denial, part of the naysayers that believe that what we go through is not existent. We're going through our own personal like how when Jewish people had the Holocaust, right? How ludicrous it was for people to try to act like the Holocaust didn't exist.
Yeah.
We're still trying to prove that our Holocaust existed.
Yeah. Wow.
And we've
Yeah.
lost way more people. We don't even know our own last names. We don't know where we're from. Oops.
Oh
I think
shit.
I will be back on and oops, I messed up. Hold on.
Where you go?
There we go.
Oh,
I hit
okay.
my own button to shut off my screen. But like when people talk about the systematic racism that we all go through, I say to them that most black people don't even know our real names. You know what I'm saying? How many of you guys have that problem where we can only, I asked my grandmother, who's 88 years old, I said, what could you tell us about our history? And the farthest she can go back is her grandmother. She has no history after that. She doesn't know anything about our lives after that. So that's as
It's not,
far back
yeah.
as I could go. So
It's not
all
like
you
we're
guys
learning our
who are like,
history in
I
school.
know exactly, and our history
Yeah.
is not taught in school.
No.
Because if our history was taught in school, it would empower us. And
Mm.
they don't want us to be empowered. They want to employ us as, you know, institutional slaves. So it is nothing to help us. The
Yeah.
shamefulness of the Canadian society would be shown through all their acts of racism
Yeah.
that they have. And they'll be like, we're not like America. Yeah, just
Mm.
because you're not as bad doesn't mean that you're not bad.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
so that's why I always say to people, you know, when people go, I don't think racism is dead. I go, no, 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 it's alive and
Nah,
kicking.
it's alive and well. Yeah, it is.
And what annoys me is it doesn't annoy me as much as the fact that it's tiresome, is like you said, with black sympathizers. Here's the problem with them. They've always been around. When they had a uprising, I can't remember the gentleman's name. So there was a slave who ended up killing his masters. Before he did it, what he did was he said, all right, how many of you guys want to be free? All right, there's 100 of them lined up. 75 walked forward. And he goes, okay, you guys want to be free. How many of you are willing to kill the master to be free? And then only 50 walked forward. And then he said, the first thing you have to do if you want to be free is turn around and kill those people behind you, because they're going to be the first ones to bring you down. And those
Damn.
black sympathizers are the first ones to be like that white people who are the deniers and naysayers will use as their Kanye West to be like, see, told you, this
Mm.
black person said it, and those black people are out there. In fact, as a black person, I'm afraid of a black cop more than I am a white cop,
Oh yeah, I was
because
stalked
all
by
black
a
people know,
giant black
when
cop.
you get the black cop, you
Mm.
know that that black cop has a very high tendency to want to be worse to
Yeah.
you than a
Yeah.
white cop, because they want to prove that they're down. They want to prove that they don't affiliate or
Mm.
associate with black people and that they're part of the blue team.
Yeah, it's true, man.
And so you see, when you have that woman that deleted you, she will sit in circles with people who hate her culture and her race and her skin color, but will accept her because they will allow her to be shitted on. I mean, she
Mm.
will allow them to say, ooh, let me touch your hair. You're so black I can't see you
Holy
unless you
fuck, yeah.
smile. I
Yeah.
literally did a comedy show in a city, and in that city, there was no black people at the show. And the mayor of that city said to me, we have a black guy. We call him Toast. I said, why you call him Toast? Because he's the same color as it. Then they texted him, called him down, and made him come to the show to show me their black person.
Jesus Christ.
And and when I saw him, he sure as hell was one of those black people who
Mm-hmm.
don't like other black people. Because when he
Yeah.
came down there and he saw me, you could see the shame when he's like, when they're like, Toast, Toast, come over here. This is Toast. You see what we're talking about? And he's looking at me, and I'm looking at him like,
Mm. And
because
you know
you know
what's
he'll go away,
sad?
and he lets that happen.
It's sad because I feel like I am coming out of being that black person. And it's not even that I knew what I was doing, but I grew up with a white single mom. I grew up in a white community. I grew up in a white fucking town. All of my friends have always been white. I've always been their token black person. I've just always just allowed whatever to be said. And it half of it I wouldn't really realize that it's racist and I just allow it. And then as the years go by, it's like, holy fuck, I am not okay with this. That was not okay. And even every once in a while now, I have friends, something comes up, they're like, yeah, but you're not really black. Why? Because I grew up in a fucking white town and I'm not black anymore. That takes all my
Yeah.
blackness away. Y'all can fuck it.
That's a big
No,
problem with biracial children that I find in Alberta, is that they end
especially
up
Alberta.
growing. Yeah, because what I see is one of two situations. And again, this is generalization, but it's pretty fucking accurate. And that's that
All right, let's hear it.
you'll have a biracial child, and that white mother will either be a single mother, or if the father is still present, he's a black parent who does not like black people.
Mm,
And so what'll happen is that biracial child will grow up not understanding or knowing how to deal with their own black culture. And they also have to deal with the white sides of their family not
yeah.
fully accepting them.
Yeah.
Because biracial children, here's the sad part, white people don't think you're white. They don't think you're one of them, and they tolerate you. They
Mm,
don't accept you. They tolerate you. You see, a racist person can love a person of another color, but they'll never love the culture or the people that you bring with it. And
yeah,
that's
that's
and
so
every
true.
time I meet biracial children who have messed up hair, I always go, "Your mom's white," and they're like, "Yeah, how do you
I
know?" I'm
still
like,
don't know
"You
how to
don't know
take care of my hair,
hair.
man.
You don't know
Yes,
how to take care of your hair."
it's
And a
so
lot of them,
sad.
you'll see where they don't know where to. They will take more to white culture to look for acceptance, because the black side of them has been beaten down and insulted, and they've heard by their own cousins being called you nigger, or you're dirty, or you're
Yeah,
this. And so now they want to reject the blackness of themselves
yeah.
to the point where they wish they were white. So they start piercing their ears all crazy and trying to mimic what it is to look. You ever see a black kid who try to look goth? It looks silly, right? You look silly, but you've seen it, and it's like because they just want
Yeah,
to be accepted.
yeah.
And yet, at the same time, those same people will say, "I'm not racist," but
Mm,
yet you've made a person of color feel so uncomfortable. They are trying to reject who it is that they are just to sit at your table, and that,
yeah.
my friend, is racism.
God damn. And that hit close to home, man. I'm gonna go reflect on some shit.
But
I'm
like
coming
I
out of
said,
it
we
now.
live, we grow, and we live, we mature.
Yeah,
And so the fact that because I've changed as a person my whole life. When I
yeah.
started as a young person my teens, I was homophobic when I was a young person. And now as an adult, I'm like, how stupid is that?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I just hope that through everything happening right now in society, that maybe not this generation, but the next will
Mm.
mature to where they realize how stupid racism was for themselves. The
I
same
think
way
our
I realized how stupid it was to be homophobic.
Yeah, I think our kids are going to do some incredible things. Like what the generation and people are doing now is amazing, but I just see so many incredible things happening when our children are our age and doing
Yeah, I
things out in
pray
the
that
world.
my sons and daughters' children grow up in a world without racism.
Mm.
I pray that it is. However, um, you know what I mean? It's just like you listen to people talk and you be like, God damn, you have kids. Well, that generation of kids is fucked up now. You know what I mean? Like, God damn, man.
Ah, yeah.
It's
Aw,
it's it's a very it's a cycle. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah.
we have to learn how to break the cycle. That's why I say
Yeah.
that we as black people we deal with ourselves, and white people, you guys deal with your own, because we can't be trying to save each other from drowning when we're still sinking. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Let's both get our heads above water and understand and have an agreement that we both want this to end. And once we decide that, then we can start to work towards how we make it end. But the
Yeah.
first thing that has to happen is that we have to decide collectively that we will no longer tolerate that as a society. And
Mm.
it's not happening right now because unfortunately, it's still well known that
Yeah.
driving while black
Mm.
is a real thing, that being beaten up and robbed is a real thing, that these are real issues that we're dealing with right now. And as we evolve as a society, I feel that we can come together eventually. But for right now, it's rough out there,
It's
man.
a little
I mean,
messy
there's
right now.
people right now who probably listened to 10 seconds of what I just said and was like, fuck that nigga, and
Yeah,
clicked
and
off.
left. Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
I
Because I don't say
guaranteed.
what appeases them, but
Mhm.
I'm speaking out of reality.
And the
If you ever
absolute
want to
truth.
talk to a person who's not only black, but has dealt with the things that you watch in the news personally and has been affected by the friends and family that you have
Mm,
personally, then it's me. But again, it's hard to look in the mirror when you don't want to see who's there. And a lot of them don't want to look in that mirror. And that's
yeah.
unfortunate.
Well, I feel like we could really go off on this for a
Oh,
long
yeah.
time. And I mean, maybe we will. Maybe we'll do this, every few weeks, check back in with one another.
I
Because
would love
you're
to, anytime you want me back on, I'd love to come in and
yay,
talk.
cool.
Anytime.
Um, you have your is it the sixth episode now? I think it's six, yes?
Yeah,
This
episode
weekend.
6 comes out on Sunday.
Okay,
Um,
the comedy reject.
yes, the Comedy
Yeah.
Reject will be out on Sunday at 12 p.m. So look out for that
Yes.
on tailormaderadio.ca and all other major streaming platforms. Follow
Yes.
me on social media on Instagram at Sterling's Jokes or Sterling's Jokes on Twitter, and just plain old comedian Sterling Scott on Facebook. But
Yeah.
please make sure you guys take a chance and opportunity, listen to the Comedy Reject podcast, and look
Yes.
out for a lot more live performances and taking notes, the live stand-up
So
performance that I'll
excited.
be doing coming up in the near future. So look out for all of those. And regardless of what everybody may think, if you're angry or upset by anything that I have said tonight, it's
It means
all
it's
in
working.
love. And mwah, I hope you
Yeah.
guys, look yourselves in the mirror and be proud of who you are, and don't just stop lying to yourselves. You know what I'm saying? Because this shit needs to end. And as long as it's going on like that, as long as you bear that little bit in your heart and you go, oh, I don't care. Well, then when you look outside and you see all that stuff, know that that's a direct result of your faults. So we all have to change from within and change from
Hmm.
within our own cultures, because there's only one race. That's the human race. So let's stop acting like we are better than each other just because of the color of our skins.
Amen. Thank you so much.
Pleasure and honor.
Yeah, we'll talk soon.
Sounds good.
Bye.
Bye.